The last train home. It was the last train home, and the head wobbled tired on the seat. And then I saw something odd. A girl, all alone, hanging onto the handles, all still. You glance into the dark mouth of the tunnel as you pull away from the platform, and in a flicker of light, you see something that will never leave you. A man standing on the tracks, holding a severed head. Good evening, my lonely souls. It's Blair. It's late, isn't it? The perfect time for stories. The kind that remind us that the world doesn't always go to sleep when we do. Tonight, we're going underground. We're diving into 3 true, terrifying stories from the one place you thought you knew, the subway after dark. But for that impossible, gruesome image to make any sense, we need to rewind. We need to start where it all began, on a different night, with a young man for whom the subway was just a mundane part of life. Meet Danny. He's 22, and like thousands of others in the city, late-night subway rides are his routine. It's a Saturday night, well past midnight, and he's waiting for the last train home. The station is one of those smaller, tightly spaced ones, where the opposite platform feels like it's within arm's reach. But tonight, it's empty. He is completely, utterly alone, in a concrete box buried deep beneath the sleeping city. There's a unique quiet to a deserted subway station. It's not true silence. It's a heavy, humming stillness, punctuated by strange, distant noises you'd never notice in the daytime. A rhythmic drip of water somewhere down the tunnel, the low groan of shifting metal far above. The air is thick and cool, smelling of damp concrete, of ozone from the third rail, and something else. A faint, sour, metallic tang you can't quite place. The long fluorescent bulbs overhead flicker intermittently, making the shadows on the tiled walls seem to twitch and retreat. It's an environment that feels ancient, indifferent, a place where the normal rules of the surface world feel very, very far away. Danny is used to it, or so he thinks. He's just waiting for the familiar rumble of his train, the sound that will carry him back to the world of the living. And then a voice cuts through the silence. "Over here, buddy." It's not loud, but it slices through the quiet. Danny's head snaps up. Across the tracks, from the dark, gaping maw of the tunnel, a head is poking out. Just a head and a shoulder. The man is filthy, his hair matted, his face smudged with grime. But it's his smile that makes the breath catch in Danny's throat. Even from 50 feet away in the dim light, he can see it clearly. It's a wide, terrible, yellow-toothed smile. A smile with gaps where teeth should be. A predator's smile. Danny's heart begins to pound. He immediately looks down at his phone, a universal sign for "leave me alone." Don't engage. Don't make eye contact. He feels the man's eyes on him, a heavy, physical pressure. A moment later, A second man emerges from the tunnel to stand beside the first. He's smiling too, the same unnerving, vacant grin. "Hey," the second one calls, his voice a low rasp. "Come hang out with us." They don't move from the tunnel entrance. They just stand there, half shrouded in darkness, staring. Their eyes are locked on him, unblinking. The invitation hangs in the damp air, grotesque and terrifying. They want him to jump down from the platform. They want him to come into the tunnel with them. Danny does his best to ignore them, his entire body rigid with a primal fear. What would you do in this exact moment? Freeze up, run for the exit, or say something back? Let me know in the comments below. Danny stays frozen, praying for the sound of the train. The two men continue to stare, their smiles fixed and unwavering. Then, the first man, the one with the yellow teeth, says something to his companion that Danny can't quite hear. The man nods and ducks back into the pitch black of the tunnel, leaving the second man to continue his silent, smiling vigil. A few seconds later, which feel like an eternity, the man re-emerges. He's holding something up, a third face, lifeless, pale, with vacant eyes. For a split second, Danny's mind struggles to comprehend what is seeing. Is it another person? Are they hurting someone? And just then, the saving rumble begins. The train is coming. Its headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the scene across the tracks with brutal clarity. And in that bright, clarifying light, Danny sees the truth. The man is holding something up in his hand, but it's not a person. It's just a head. A decapitated head, held aloft by the hair like a trophy. The man with the yellow smile grins even wider. As the train screams into the station, the two figures melt back into the darkness of the tunnel, taking their gruesome prize with them. The doors slide open in front of Danny, and he stumbles inside, the image burned into his mind forever. A lone encounter with a killer cult is one thing, a horror you survive by sheer luck, by the timely arrival of a train. But what happens when you're not alone? What happens when you're with your friends and you think you're the heroes, only to find out you've walked right into a trap disguised as a cry for help? Our second story comes from New York during that strange, quiet week between Christmas and New Year's. The narrator and his friends are heading home around 2 a.m. The city that never sleeps is, for the most part, sleeping. Their train car is empty, filled with a festive but eerie silence. As they pull out of a station, they hear it. A woman screaming from the next car over. Not a playful shriek, but a scream of genuine terror. Being young and full of holiday spirit, the narrator and his friend decide they have to do something. They move to the door between the cars and look through the small glass window. The scene is exactly what they feared. A young woman is backed into a corner by two men in dark hoodies. They aren't touching her, but they're standing uncomfortably close, blocking her path. their posture radiating menace. The woman is crying, pleading with them to leave her alone. Hero mode engaged. The narrator's friend reaches to open the door, ready to confront them, but the narrator stops him. He points. Tucked into the waistband of one of the hooded men, partially visible, is the black handle of a handgun. This isn't just harassment. This is something far more dangerous. As they hesitate, one of the men glances toward the door and sees their faces in the window. His eyes lock with theirs. And in that moment, everything changes. The men forget the woman instantly. Their attention is now entirely on the two friends. The chase is on. The friends turn and bolt, running through the empty train car as the two men burst through the door behind them. The rhythmic clatter of the train on the tracks becomes a frantic, offbeat drum against the pounding of their own hearts. The fluorescent lights of each car they run through flash by like strobes in a nightmare. They are running for their lives inside a metal tube with nowhere to go. Mercifully, the train begins to slow for the next station. The second it stops and the doors hiss open, they spill out onto the platform and run, not even looking back. In the chaos, they get separated from their other friends. The narrator and his buddy sprint up the stairs, their lungs burning, and find a hiding spot behind a large, grimy garbage can on the street level. Their hearts are hammering against their ribs. They crouch in the darkness, listening. They hear footsteps approaching, 2 sets. It's the men from the train. They followed them out of the station. The friends hold their breath, praying they won't be found. The footsteps slow, then stop, just a few yards away. Then one of the pursuers speaks to the other, and the words he says drain every last drop of warmth from the narrator's body. He doesn't shout it, he says it with a cold, casual finality. If you find them, kill them. After a few agonizing minutes, the footsteps move on. The coast seems clear. The friends, trembling, regroup with the rest of their group, who had hidden elsewhere. They are shaken, but they believe they are safe. They start walking away from the station, adrenaline still coursing through them, when they see a figure emerge from the station entrance. It's the woman, the victim from the train. They feel a wave of relief, glad she also got away. But she isn't running. She's walking calmly, and she's walking directly toward the direction their attackers went. The friends stop and watch, confused. A moment later, the 2 hooded men reappear, meeting her on the corner. The friends are frozen, watching this impossible reunion. What is happening? The woman walks right up to them, her voice carrying on the cold night air. But her tone isn't one of gratitude, it's one of anger and frustration. Where are they? She demands. Don't tell me you didn't get them. And in that instant, the world tilts on its axis. The pieces click into place with a horrifying soundlessness. The screaming, the crying, her cornered posture. It was all an act, a performance. It wasn't a robbery they had stumbled upon. It wasn't harassment. It was a hunt. She was the lure, the bait in a deadly trap. And they, the would-be heroes, were the prey. They were the prey in a hunt they never knew they were a part of. But sometimes the hunt is quieter, slower. A psychological game played by one man against another for reasons we may never understand. This is a different kind of subway horror, not of grotesque violence or deceptive traps, but of relentless, silent, terrifying persistence. Our final story comes from a man whose father worked for the city's transit authority for 35 years. For his entire career, he was a station manager on the night shift, a job that requires a certain comfort with solitude and silence. One night, around 3 a.m., he finishes his shift and boards a completely empty train car to head home. At the very next stop, the doors open and one man gets on. He's tall, skinny, and wearing a heavy winter jacket, which is odd for the mild weather. He sits at the opposite end of the long car, and the manager thinks nothing of it. But every so often, when he glances up, he finds the man looking at him. When the manager gets off at his transfer station, the man gets off too. The manager walks toward the stairs, and the man follows, staying about 50 feet behind him. On the next platform, the manager has to unlock a small office to wait for his connecting train. As he puts the key in the lock, he's aware the man has stopped, still 50 feet away, just watching him. The manager unlocks the door, steps inside, and locks it behind him. A moment later, he hears the doorknob rattle. Someone is trying to open it. Then a soft knock, and a voice muffled through the door. "I want to talk." Terrified, the manager stays silent until he hears the man walk away. He abandons his usual route, gets on the next train going anywhere, and takes it to a different station several miles away. As he gets on the train, he looks back. The tall, skinny man gets onto the very same car just as the doors are closing. He sits down and just stares. No expression, no aggression, just a constant, unnerving stare. The manager, trying to de-escalate a situation he doesn't understand, gives him a small, placating nod, the kind of nod that says, "I see you, we're cool." The man doesn't respond. He just continues to stare, his eyes unblinking. Panicked, the manager gets off at the next stop and flees into the street. He sees the lights of a fast food restaurant and runs inside, seeking the safety of public space. He orders a coffee, his hands shaking, and sits down at a table by the window. A minute later, the stalker appears. He doesn't come inside. He walks to the window, stops directly in front of the manager, and just stares at him through the glass for 10 long, silent seconds. Then he turns and walks away into the night. The manager is deeply shaken, but he finally believes it's over. He waits a while, then takes a bus to his final station, the one where his car is parked. He feels a profound sense of relief as he walks into his last office of the night to sign out. He's safe. The man is gone. He's just being paranoid. But still, a part of him can't let it go. Before he leaves, he sits down at the desk and flicks on the security monitors, just to be sure. He scans the grainy, black and white feeds of the platforms. Empty. The mezzanines. Empty. He's about to turn the monitor off, a shaky laugh of relief building in his chest. But then he sees him. On the monitor for the platform just outside his office, 30 feet from where he's sitting, is the tall, skinny man in the heavy coat. He's pacing back and forth. As the manager watches, his blood turning to ice, the man stops pacing. He slowly turns and looks directly up, directly into the security camera, directly at the manager. And he freezes. He just stands there, neck craned, staring into the lens. He doesn't move. He doesn't blink. 10 seconds pass. 20. The digital clock in the corner of the screen ticks past 30 seconds. The man is perfectly still, his face a pale, emotionless mask on the grainy screen. 45 seconds. The manager can't breathe. For one full, silent, agonizing minute, the man stares. Then, as slowly as he stopped, he lowers his head, turns, and walks out of the camera's view, disappearing for good. A cult with a trophy, a hunting party with a lure, and a stalker who crosses an entire city just to watch you. 3 stories that prove the world beneath your feet is not as safe as you think. These events, whether born of madness, malice, or something else entirely, remind us that in the isolated, forgotten hours of the night, you must always be aware. The person at the other end of the platform might not just be waiting for a train. If these stories sent a chill down your spine, let me know by leaving a like. It's a small light in the darkness for me. And if you want to join me again for more tales from the shadows, make sure you subscribe. We have many more nights to share. A quick warning. Stories this real sometimes attract the wrong kind of attention and can disappear. If you want to find your way back here, saving this to a playlist is the safest bet.